Hello, and in today's video we're doing an FPL Game Week 28 deadline stream. That's right, it's double Game Week 28 with AFC Bournemouth and Luton Town doubling this game week. It's going to be a really interesting one. So before you carry on watching, do smash a like on it. Get your thoughts in the live chat. What are your transfers this week? Are you taking a hit? Are you even using a chip this week? I've seen a few wildcards flowing around, but not too many. But a few people think about free hitting in 29. Some people might even be dead ending into 29 or wildcarding in 30. So there's a lot of interesting strategies. And as we always say, play it your way. No strategy, one strategy is necessarily always right. So it's great to see the variety and the breadth of ideas in the FPL community. So yeah, hopefully you do go on to enjoy this one. I'll be talking all things Game Week 28, looking back at how I got on in the Game Week 27 results, and we'll be also talking through captaincy, transfers, and of course we're going to say what our chip strategy is in the coming weeks. So let's get on to Game Week 27. How did we do? 82 points. So it was our 10th green arrow in a row. We're in a really good run at the moment. It feels great, to be honest, because it's this time of the season where it's kind of a season defining moment. If we can get green arrows around this sort of time with the blanks and the doubles, then it's really important for our potential rank come the end of the season. But we're up to an overall rank of 89k. First time we've been in the top 100k this season, so it's been a long slog really this season for a lot of FPL managers, but to have that consistency at the moment, it feels great. So I made 2 free transfers last week, rolled in 26, and my 2 free transfers were Zabani in for Pedro Porro, which to be honest is a bit frustrating this week because Porro's back for the Aston Villa game, but I just felt that it would be making sense keeping Ake for the potential of a good fixture down the line. Basically, if I didn't wildcard in 30, then I might want Ake for the Arsenal game. At least he's got a home game. Whereas I didn't really fancy Porro because of the fact that Spurs, I'll probably not have much impact having Porro in my team, especially when I will be picking him in probably my free hit team, and then by 30 I might be wildcarding anyway. So I just felt that I needed to get rid of Porro with his injury and get in a doubler for 28. So I got in Zabani, and he got me 6 points in Game Week 27, which I was pretty happy about. Obviously, Senesi owners were absolutely gutted. But I also made the second transfer. I did Son Heung-min in for Diogo Jota. I also had Hwang Hee-chan on my bench, who was an injury problem. But I felt that, replacing Jota was the priority because we know Jota's out for longer. Now, Hwang might not be back until around Game Week 33, but I just didn't want to bench anyone to replace Hwang as well. So I replaced Jota for Son, and Son also delivered with a goal against Crystal Palace, which was good. Dubravka finally got a clean sheet, which was really pleasing to see. Newcastle defence, obviously with Hwang and Cunha out injured for Wolves, I had a feeling that a clean sheet would be possible for Newcastle. What I didn't have a feeling about was Areola saving a penalty, but that's FPL for you. We also had a double Arsenal clean sheet, which was really nice against Sheffield United, as we expected, but you just kind of think, oh, what if Sheffield United score a late consolation? And it was typical, wasn't it, that all of Arsenal's back four got in on the attacking returns, apart from the most highly owned Gabriel and Saliba. But, we take those 6 points and run with them. Also, we had in midfield Foden absolutely smashing it against Manchester United with 2 goals, 2 fabulous goals as well. And yeah, 15-pointer. It's great to see this version of Phil Foden actually scoring me points, because before that game against Bournemouth in Game Week 26, I'd never owned Foden for an attacking return. He'd always trolled me with a benching or a blank. So it's great to see for 2 successive game weeks him doing the business for me. So really good. And Saka as well got me a goal. A couple of assists, I should say. But obviously injured at half time, or ill, whatever you want to call it, subbed off early. Yeah, he was apparently a bit ill after that game. I mean, look, they just felt that he needed to get rested with them being so heavily in the lead 5-0 at half time. But yeah, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth for those that went for the captaincy on him. But I went for Erling Haaland, and obviously, he got the goal against Man United, but Saka's slightly outscored him. Pascal Gross, that was a really frustrating one, I can't lie, because I was hoping, he'd get me some differential points against Fulham, good fix. But De Zerbi decided to bench him, which I think was down to him having a bit of cramp. But also, this is De Zerbi. He likes to change things up. Even Pascal Gross, who is usually, able to avoid that sort of rotation. Yeah, not this week. So it was a bit frustrating to see him benched. But yeah, he came on for the last 20 minutes or something. So yeah, at least I wasn't relying on my third bench, or my first bench, sorry, of Ake. But still, it would have been nice because Ake got more points than Gross, so it is what it is. Solanke 2 points. Yeah, he blanked against Burnley, didn't quite look himself. But at the end of the day, we want him for this double. A lot of people are going to captain him. Some might triple captain. Obviously, he's had this recurring knee issue. And the statement for Iraola in the midweek of the press conferences is that he hasn't fully trained. But apparently, some people have said he's trained on Friday. So he's kind of most likely going to play. But it's also a bit of concern. So I think those that have the triple captain probably should use it. But I can see why those that were a bit getting cold feet on that triple captain would be doing that, because there's just a bit of doubt that maybe he gets reduced minutes in one of the games or both of them. But I think he'll start both. I'm pretty confident of that. So Haaland, obviously, yeah, just the one goal against Man United and no bonus points, which was a bit annoying. But he didn't do well in terms of conceding. Taking those chances really. Yeah, that miss against Man United, I'm not quite sure what happened there. But Watkins, nice haul again. This is what Ollie Watkins does. He's just so consistent all season, and yeah, he's been such a good striker this season for FPL, and a massive haul really against Luton. So yeah, great to see. On the bench then we had Areola, which was frustrating because all week I was starting Areola. And I just kind of looked at everyone else's team. I shouldn't have done this really, but just saw that they all started Dubravka in their lineups and thought, oh, is there something I'm missing here? And then I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, of course, Hwang and Cunha both out injured, so surely there's more chance of a fairly decent Newcastle defence on their day keeping a clean sheet than a terrible West Ham defence. And that logic was, fair, because that's what happened, right? West Ham conceded, Newcastle didn't. But of all things, yeah, penalty save. So thanks for that, Besso. Really appreciate it, mate. Ake 2 points. Yeah, I was right to bench him. Obviously, I felt that United would have potential to score in that sort of game. And they did it very early on with Rashford. Doherty was a bit frustrating. I think a lot of people started Doherty just because of attacking threat, but I felt that Watkins would do really well, which he did, so I wasn't too keen on starting him. But I guess those that were down to the bare bones in their defence just started him anyway, and he got his attack and return. Great delivery for the Morris goal, and that's why we own him. He's just so good at those deliveries. And then Hwang, obviously, as we know, was injured. So yeah, 82 points. That's our 10th green arrow in a row. And now we're going into double game week 28, looking to maximise the doubles and keep on going, really. Yeah, so look at this run. I mean, 10 green arrows in a row. We're cooking. We are cooking. Let me cook. And now, hopefully, in game week 28, it can be an 11th green arrow in a row. So what's the team looking like for game week 28? Well, let's talk about a bit of chip strategy and a bit of long-term planning. As Julian Laurent on the FPL pod would say. So yeah, you can see a new goalkeeper in between the sticks. That is my transfer this week. Quite simply, I've gone for a boring transfer, but don't you worry. When it gets to game week 29 and game week 30, it'll get a lot more exciting. So my chip strategy is basically I've got about 4 players for game week 29, so I'm definitely free hitting in that game week, and I'm also feeling that wildcarding in game week 30 or 31 is my preference, because I've basically got a team that's quite well set up for this week with doublers, but that includes players from Bournemouth, obviously, who play no fixture in game week 29. And then you've got, potential players that I want to get to in 30, like Salah, like Cole Palmer, because I sold Palmer a few weeks back when he had the blank. So, yeah, these sort of players I want to get back, and I think 30 is a good time to go for it. And Neto, he's my transfer in this week because I think there's just not many players in my team that I want to take out, even for doublers. I think, I looked at a Bournemouth midfielder like a Cliver or a Tavernier, but I just don't think there's enough upside of those sort of players. I don't think they're going to haul big in this blank, or in this double, sorry, even with two fixtures. I just think, some of these single game week assets could be better. And I've also looked at potentially like going for someone in for Pascal Gross, because obviously Gross got benched last week, but I'm pretty sure he'll start this week. He's got Forest, which is a great fixture at home, but obviously come the end of game week 28, the fixtures for Brighton are a bit tougher, so it's a consideration I've had. But then I'm like, well, if I sell Gross, who am I going to bring in that is really going to outscore Gross in this week and potentially in 30 if I delay the wild card to 31? And there's a few options, don't get me wrong, but nothing that I'm really massively drawn in by. And to be honest, I think the goalkeeper switch is a bit painful because it means benching Areola, but I just think I like the upside of Neto this week. Now, again, you could argue there's not much upside with the goalkeeper, but I think having a few doublers, tripling up on Bournemouth players this week with those two fixtures in the double, Sheffield United at home and Luton at home, I just like those fixtures so much, and I'm pretty confident of the clean sheet against Sheffield United. Obviously, things can change, but hopefully that's at least 6 points. And then against Luton, yeah, I could probably see Luton scoring, but save points, you could be looking on for a 9-pointer, 12-pointer, which would be a nice return. It would be a good, successful transfer. So hopefully Burnley can score, and hopefully Sheffield United and Luton don't. But I look at it and think, yeah, I do like the Neto transfer because it just doesn't bring as much of a headache as if I had to take out one of my midfielders. For instance, if I had to sell Hwang Hee-chan, who's on my bench at the moment, then that would mean benching Pascal Gross, which I don't love, because I think Gross can do well this week. Zabani's also got the same fixtures, Sheffield United and Luton. Obviously, he's not much of a goal threat this season, but at least we know he's going to play every single minute. Obviously, you've got Kirkez, who's a bit more attacking, but, long term, he's not as secure as Zabani because of Lloyd Kelly when he comes back. So I just like the boring pick, the vanilla pick, but to be honest, I'd not expect an attacking return. If we got it from Zabani this game week, then it'd be absolute limbs. But if we can get a 12-pointer, two clean sheets, that would be lovely. Doherty, obviously Palace and Bournemouth, a bit of a trickier double, but still don't doubt Doherty, and see what I did there, because his attacking threat is just so good. And even in games that Luton concede a couple, he can get the odd assist here or there. Then Gabriel, Brentford, good fixture, I think, for an attacking return for Gabriel, because we know they've struggled this season defensively, Brentford, so I'm hoping that that's all that is. And, if Arsenal keep a clean sheet, I'll be a bit gutted, because I've got Saliba on the bench, because I think, you have to start Zabani, and you have to start Doherty, and I think, yeah, Gabriel's just a bit more attacking than Saliba, so I've gone for him. And then the midfield then, Son Heung-min obviously got me the goal last week after coming into my team, and he's got a great fixture against Villa, who, play that high line, and it should be an exciting game. Then Foden's got Liverpool. I've seen a few people taking out Foden for the likes of Barkley or benching Foden. It's a bit risky. It's a bit risky, to be honest. I think Foden, he's got a good record against Liverpool, and it's a big game. Foden, you could see stepping up to the plate, so I'm not going to take him out. The form he's been on has been absolutely brilliant, and Saka's my vice captain at the moment, because I think Saka, he's going to be fine. He's got obviously that illness he had in the week, but I would expect him to be fine to play against Brentford, as Arteta said. And Brentford, as we've said, have struggled defensively this season, and I think Saka could do okay. Could be a potential captaincy this week. Obviously, you're probably going to favour the players with the double game week, or you could even look at Haaland away to Liverpool, but I think that'll be not the best week to captain Haaland. So I think Saka's definitely a fairly decent vice captain. Pascal Gross is my little differential pick this week, 9.7% owned, I think it is. So yeah, he's got a great fixture this week. Obviously, he's just been ticking along all season, Pascal Gross, and yeah, in the reverse fixture, got a couple of assists. Let's hope for some more of that sort of thing. A goal would be great as well. But you know what Pascal Gross is like. When he gets an attack return, the bonus points are just magnets to his points. So he's just, yeah, a really good asset. And he's done really well for me over this stretch. And it's one last dance for Pascal before our wild card in 30. And then the free transfer shenanigans going in the forward line. I'm not going to be taking anyone out for Morris, for instance. Like, I just think those three are just so set and forget. Just go with them. They're just so good. So we'll start with Haaland. Liverpool, good fixture. Do I think it's a good fixture? Maybe. Look, at the end of the day, Haaland scored in the reverse game. Liverpool, this season, they've looked fairly strong defensively. Obviously, Kelleher has been in goal the last few weeks, but I still think Haaland could return. I think those that are banking on Morris over Haaland, good luck. I'll say that much. Good luck, because I get the thinking. Obviously, got the 3 games over the next 2 weeks when Haaland's just got the 1. But then you think about the fact that it's Erling Haaland you're talking about. So if he, does anything against Liverpool, you're hoping on Morris to do something. And then against Arsenal, I could see Haaland doing anything. I could definitely see it against Arsenal. So, yeah, good luck with that. Obviously, it's going to be hard to bring back with the price he's at as well. So, consider the team value you've got in Haaland. But he's not going anywhere for me because I'll be free hitting in 29. And then I'll want him back for the Arsenal game. So, yeah, he's staying and just not on the captaincy this week. Then Watkins against Spurs. I've seen some people say a captaincy shout this week. Maybe. Spurs, obviously, we know, struggle defensively this season. But I wouldn't captain Watkins, I don't think. I still think he's a good asset to own, obviously. But, yeah, that could be a high-scoring game. And then Solanke, captain. Don't overthink this one. I wouldn't go for a Neto or Zabani. I think it's a bit crazy to do that. Solanke, even with his injury issues, I think he's going to be fine to play most minutes. And it just makes a lot of sense. If you're going to captain a striker that's on penalties against the 2 teams that are in the bottom 3 for worst defensive this season, then why not? Why not go for it? So, yeah, on the bench, Areola. Just please concede Areola. Like, all right, you did it last week. You got a pen save. You can't get another pen save, please. And, yeah, if Burnley could just, knock in a consolation, a little Lyle Foster goal or I don't know, something, right, from Burnley. Just don't keep a clean sheet, Areola, please. Because, I kept you because of the fact that you play in 29 and 30. Obviously, I'll be free hitting anyway, but it just made more sense to sell Dubravka than Areola, even though I'll be wildcarding in 30 possibly or 31. It just doesn't make sense. You've got Areola, who has been a much better asset recently than Dubravka. So why would I sell Areola? It could potentially be more pain if I sold a huge haul from Areola. At least if I kept Areola, then he's there for potentially 30 if I don't wildcard. So yeah, I don't know what my logic is there really, but yeah, you know what I mean. It makes more sense to sell Dubravka. But Saliba's there as well. Hopefully he doesn't get his goal like he did against Brentford in the game last season at the Brentford Community Stadium. But yeah, this season obviously it's at the Emirates, so I'm hoping that Saliba does nothing. And then you got Ake there, Liverpool. I think Liverpool score. So that's probably okay. And then Hwang Hee-chan, still just on the bench, just to avoid me having a bench headache. Basically, I don't want to have those headaches. And yeah, he'll probably have to go, which is going to be sad because he's been my legend this season. I've had him for so long, even when he's been out with AFCON and injuries and stuff. Asian Cup, I should say. So yeah, look, that's my team for game week 28. Chip strategy then, very quickly, we'll run through what my plan is. So obviously Dubravka going out for Neto this week is the transfer, which is very boring, I'll admit, but sometimes you've got to be patient as an FPL manager. So hopefully we get around 76 points. I'd be a bit disappointed though with that. If we can get towards more like 80, 90, that would be ideal for a double game week. So then, yeah, those are our selections for the 28 fixtures. Then in 29, we'll be looking to free hit because, as I said, we've got about 4 players, which is not exactly ideal. But it was always my plan to free hit in 29 because I think, with 34, we don't know yet the doubles. We'll probably know before the 30 deadline, but we don't know yet. So I wouldn't necessarily love to commit to a free hit in 34. And obviously I've got only 4 players, so there's more upside for me, for my own team, to free hit in 29 than there is 34. And also, I just prefer free hitting in a blank game week because you're taking out players that you know won't play. Whereas in 34, if you take out players that have a single for a double and then they get actually more the singlers, then it can be quite painful. So I just prefer free hitting in a blank game week. Not everyone will agree with that, but that's just my preference. And I'll also be looking to wildcard in 30. So wildcard in 30 is mainly because I think the fixtures are very good for certain teams. So for instance, Spurs, I'd get a couple more Spurs players perhaps. Liverpool, obviously I'd want Salah back for the Brighton game. Then we're looking at, maybe some defensive improvements there because, Gabriel away to City, Doughty away to Spurs, Saliba as well, Ake, doesn't make for great reading, does it, defensively? So that is definitely a possible week for wildcard, and I'm definitely looking at trying to do that, having Son, Salah, Haaland, all these big hitters back in the team, which would be nice. And we'll also think about doing in 31, because if we just find that there's nothing that exciting in 30, we delay it to 31, and then we can stack up on some other players. So you could potentially look at, some of the Arsenal midfielders, right, against Luton. That could be really tasty. Also fixtures in game week 31. You could look at someone like Luis Diaz or a third Liverpool, so like a Darwin, and potentially, go for some other picks in there. You could go back in for some Wolves players, like if, for instance, Cunha's back by then, or maybe some Bournemouth players as well against Palace. So yeah, I think 31 and 30 are the 2 weeks that I'm happy to go for, because it makes a chance for me to basically set up for 37, because I'm going to be boosting in 37, I think, and therefore not worrying about 34 too much, because there's always a chance that that's not even a double, right? So it probably will be, but there might not be. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to go for, because bench boosting in 37 is the biggest double in the season. And then 34, some people will free hit that week and maybe get a few more points than me, but I'll just move towards them, the players that double in 34 with just free transfers between maybe 32 and 34. And I'm happy to take a few hits if it's required, but I'm much more willing to wildcard in 30 or 31 with a view to setting up for that 37 bench boost, because I think the kind of potential for points is much higher in 37 than in 34. So therefore, I'm not too fussed about having a perfect team for 34. So that's my transfers and chip strategy. So I hope you have enjoyed this FPL Game Week 28 preview. Is your captain on Solanke? And if not, who is it on? Are you going for Semenyo or perhaps Carlton Morris? But that has been FPL Yellow Army, the Game Week 28 deadline stream. Smash a like on it. Get your transfers in the live chat, and also, let me know if you enjoyed the content. Drop a little comment after the video, after the live stream, just to let me know that you like the video, and any feedback. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.